Well, Army, that's what Gary Porter was alluding to earlier. He was doing it really on his own as a privateer, didn't have the big staff to go along at each event.
Well, what happens? These trucks allow 3 crew members. Well, all the Ford guys are jumping in and helping each other. The Dodge and Chevrolet guys, they're still playing privateers. They're kind of like Custer. They're sitting out there on the hill by themselves right now.
There's a look at Colt Cobra, and there's a look at Dan Ronte, a pair of Fords, the Power Wheels Bigfoot and Snakebite.
You got to remember, earlier in the year, Colt Cobra snookered Runte. I don't think it'll happen again. When I say he snookered him, he psyched him out. Runte, kind of a high-strung individual, a little bit nervous. Colt Cobra got the best of him once. Let's see if he can do it again.
They are both staged. Watch the Christmas tree. There they go.
Both leave good. No man's land, I think. Runte, what do you say?
Oh, Runte ever so close. It is a 5:25 for Colt. And for Dan Runte, a 5:21. So actually they slow down just a bit. There's the time for Runte, but Runte takes the victory by inches.
Well, they slow down in time, but that was a good side-by-side race. Check this out. A little bit of slip on the start line for Colt Cobra. That cost him. Runte took advantage of it and immediately goes the other end.
And for the 9th time this season, Runte goes to the finals. He's with Army.
Well, Snakebite, you put him away. You know Andy Brass is coming after you like a fast-moving freight. If he gets past his round, you know, what's going to happen at the end of the day here?
Well, that's just it. If he does, it's 2 Fords in the final, and that's what we shoot for every time we come out to a race like this. Besides that, Army, I don't know. We'll have to see what he turns for a time. That last pass he made, we'll just have to see what comes out of it and what lane we get throwed in.
All right, remember, the fast time will get lane choice. So it's Andy Brass and Gary Porter for the right to meet Dan Runte. There's the independent, the Carolina Crusher with Gary Porter. That's a Chevrolet.
That was an interesting interview with Runte because he's almost conceding that this race is going to be faster than his and he will not have lane choice in the final. That kind of surprises me.
We'll see if he turns out to be a prophet, because Porter stages against the Big Blue of Andy Brass. There's the Bigfoot Ford. That is the Bigfoot Cruiser.
We understand Porter is building a new truck back in the Carolinas. He's going to try to be back on the circuit with it in the future, but right now he's just trying to play hang on with old equipment, to be very honest with you.
He's just finishing out the season this year to start really anew next year. Chevy against Ford. Chevy the near lane. Ford the far lane for the right to go to the championship round here in Canfield, and it is Andy Brass. Ooh, close at the end. Andy Brass, though, nails it. Look at that. 494. He'll have lane choice. 494 for Andy Brass. Gary Porter turns in a 504.
Any other race in 04 is good enough to win. Gee whiz.
Incredible as we take a look at the replay. See how close it is at the finish. Brass with the hole shot, but he just does hang on. And now we'll go trackside to Andy. Army?
Andy, you make changes. You and the crew been thrashing. You're talking about going 4.9. Son, you went the quickest in the sport, a 4.94 to go into the final.
Yeah, we did. You know, it's been something that I've been looking for all year. You know, I wanted to be the first guy to turn into the 4.9s, but Dan Patrick with the American Gladiator, he was the first one. And that kind of upset me a little bit, you know, so we knew we was going to have to do something else. We was either going to have to come back in and run a bunch of 4.9s consistent or turn in either a 490 or maybe even a 480. And that's what I've been shooting for now. It's just going to see what we can do. You know, we got to run fast to get the points back and to get into the finals, and that's what we're doing.
Well, as Andy Brass gets ready for the finals, we want to go and show you now one of the all-time great runs in the history of tough truck competition by a proud member of the Blue Oval Bunch. His name is Mark Meents, and he no doubt has been inspired by those 4-second runs of Andy Brass.
He comes out in a street-legal truck and literally abuses it. There's no ride like my low ride.
There goes the front suspension, but he continues on. And listen to the crowd in the background.
They're into it. Johnny Moto, track announcer's got him pumped up. He's even waving at him. He got to hit the tire to finish.
He finishes broken axle and all. Mark Meents, to the delight of this crowd here in Canfield. Stay with us. We're coming back. Hey, you. Welcome back. You know, Andy Brass is simply on fire. 3 straight runs in the 4s, a 496 in round 1, a 498 in round 2. The last pass, the quickest ever, 494. And earlier, Army made this observation about his performance.
Gary, you know, in forms of racing like NASCAR racing and everything, the tires are so important. The announcers keep telling you how they're changing the stagger, they're changing the compound or what have you. This sport is no difference whatsoever. Andy Brass was trying to find the handle. I'm going to show you what the handle was. These tires are normally the rear tires on this truck. Okay, the rear tires back there now are normally the front tires. What he did was take those tires and reverse them because there is a weight difference. The tire that's on the front now is actually lighter and used to be on the back. Now that he's got more weight on the back, he seems to be pulling in the times. He doesn't seem to be pulling in the times. He's turning the fastest in the world. But looking for the handle, you hear that term all the time. In this case, he was just moving those tires back and forth and swapping them. Back to you, Gary.
Well, it certainly made a difference if, in fact, that is the reason why all these runs in the 4-second bracket this afternoon.
Well, you know, attention to detail you've got, and all young racers know this, you have to pay attention to detail. Somebody had to take away those tires to know that they were lighter. That's
why you have a
detail.
crew chief.
Yeah.
Your team members, there's Andy Brass, the far lane. He has lane choice for this championship. His teammate, Dan Runte. Runte leads. Now, Andy Brass, really, with only 2 more events left in the Penda Points Series, has to knock off Dan Runte.
Well, Andy Brass is the old pro. He knows what he has to do. Runte has played his hand. Now it's up to Brass to sneak in the back door and whack him in the head, and that's exactly what's going to try to happen there. I'm using terminology to let you know that Andy Brass still believes he can win this world championship. It'll be the 4th world championship if he does win it.
So you're saying it's his experience that will make the difference in the final 3 events of the year.
I believe so. They're both good racers. They're both
good run
trucks.
for both of them, but Andy Brass takes the victory. Oh, wait till you hear these times. The first 4-second final, 4.99 for Dan Runte in a losing effort, and Andy Brass goes a 4.91, and there is his ET once again, the first time ever both the finalists run in the 4-second bracket.
In the interview earlier, Andy said he thought potentially he could go into the 4.8s. I thought that was a little bit of hoping, but I tell you, 4.91. He's just a blink away from a 480 run, the quickest side-by-side ever.
He did it. Let's go down to Andy.
Gary, the license plate kind of tells the tale. 491, quickest ever. Got to tickle you to death, and we understand that puts you back in the national points lead.
Well, I'd have to look at the points. I don't know exactly where we're standing right now. I know we're going to be up there pretty close, or right behind him if we aren't not, or just right ahead of him. The pass, I'm pretty happy with the pass. You know, we've been having a lot of problems with the truck. It's been running good, but it's just not been just peak. You know, I mean, I can tell when the truck's running and when it's not, and it's been dealing us a fit this weekend. But like I say, there at the end, we started changing just all kinds of stuff. I changed my driving style, and I kept with the style that I did change to, and it seemed that we just started getting down to 9s, you know, 497, 496 and that, and then that's where we stayed.
Whatever you did right. Congratulations, Andy.
Well, thank you, Arm.
And our congratulations to Andy Brass. Oh, he gets the bucket of ice water this week. That's becoming tradition now in the Bigfoot organization. That cools him off. Well, as we take a look at the Penda Points Series, 11 of 13 events, there's the 230 lead for Dan Runte over Brass, and it's Colt, Cobra, and Ford. Then the Dodge and the Chevrolet as Runte signs the autographs.
Both players in this game.
And look out, here's the ice for Dan Runte. That's going to wrap it up. We're going to head off to Indianapolis for Army. I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week. Hey, here's news and exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.